And we're live. Hey, YouTube. How's it going out there? Hope y'all are having a rip-roaring great time, because we're about to have some more fun here. Let me go to the top of my notes, and here we go. Hello, fellow Galactic listeners. I'm Aaron Julian, and this is WSTR, Galactic Public Access, a Star Wars podcast. Welcome to episode 242. We hope you and yours are well, and with everything crazy going on, we want to continue to be a platform that promotes positivity, life, and hope, and a little Star Wars along the way. Today, we are introducing a new series called Contributions. We're looking at Roger Christian in particular today. He's a name that you probably don't know, but you should if you're a Star Wars fan, and this whole episode will be about just that. We thought there's no better way to start looking at behind the scenes, or BTS if you're a hip zoomer like me, than with Mr. BTS himself, Brandon Wainerdi from the Talking Bay 94 podcast. Brandon, welcome to the show today.
Thanks for having me again, guys. Every time I get an invite, I'm always just so surprised that I haven't ruined this relationship. So it's an honor.
It's always great to have you on. And looking at your background, it appears we've caught you at an inopportune time.
Yeah, you guys, everyone watching, are the first people to see my work in progress new podcast studio, because we just moved a month ago, and so everything is still in boxes, everything very professional behind me, but maybe peek behind and you can see some bad eBay purchases for sure.
Excellent. Awesome. So happy to have you on the show, and we'll be talking about Roger Christian in just a bit. But first, who else is with us? Miss Carla Giacalone. Welcome.
Hi, everyone.
We almost started the show with you drenched in shadow as your light went out.
I did. I'm kind of sad everybody missed it now. I should have just rolled with it.
Well, jot that down, put it away in a safe place next time.
Yeah.
And Mr. Todd Hoffman, welcome back.
Hey, what's up, everyone? So excited that Brandon's on.
It's going to be a great time. Before we can begin, Carla, we got to tease that news.
Certainly. All right. So I've got 3. So the first one is To the Scarif Sands.
Ooh.
Vacay? Question mark. Second one is Stay on Target.
Stay on target.
Classic. Yeah.
And third one is A Fortnight.
Like the game or the period of time?
Maybe. We'll find out later in the episode.
A night to commemorate military installations? We'll find out.
It was a stretch, but
Yeah.
very
I'm
well
trying.
done.
These are the jokes.
Right.
Okay. We have our hosts. We have our news. And now we have our main topic.
All right. Star Wars likes numbers, and we're clever like that. So I thought it'd be great to, when we were getting close to episode 94, I thought, well, there's only one person I can have on the show to talk about Docking Bay 94. And that was Brandon way back in 2018. And then we just kept it rolling. So in 2019, you came back. It's like a yearly thing. I feel like it's like tradition. A yearly thing. Yeah. So episode 128, we were 6 months out from the Rise of Skywalker. And what a beautiful time that was to pontificate our theories. And we were overjoyed. And then it came out. In 2020, we went, really, it was episode 194, because why not? You got to keep that going. And we really just kind of talked about your show, a lot about the behind the scenes stuff. And I was toying with this idea. And so I'm like, I got to have Brandon back, because I want to talk about people that don't really get the love that they need. And you brought Roger Christian up. I'm like, I kind of feel like I know some people in the Star Wars thing, but I had no idea who this dude was. And I was like, perfect, let's do it. So, but before we get into Roger, you've been busy, man.
Been busy.
A lot. You just said you moved.
Just moved. Just got married. Just did a bunch of stuff. Got a new job.
Yeah.
Just speed running really life, dude. Making us all look bad.
All good things.
This is a great part, but there's a lot of change happening. You know. So first we got to talk about congratulations, obviously, on your marriage. That is so awesome. Yeah, that somebody actually want to marry you. That's great. That's so good, you know. So what ridiculous eBay purchase have you made in the last 6 months or year since we? I see some Yoda. I see some Yoda ears in the back.
Yeah. Do you want me? Okay, I could back up and grab some stuff.
Yeah,
you will see that I'm wearing flip flops and sweatpants though. So like,
own it.
Own it. Just own it.
Actually, I mean, you can see the Yoda ears from here, and those are the kind of the big thing. Those are very important for me, and it was a big. I love this one image of George Lucas on the set of Return of the Jedi, and he's wearing this Yoda hat, and also there's an ILM sticker on his hat, and it's just like my favorite behind the scenes image. And I've been looking for literally like 5 years for this, and finally, like there was
you found it.
There was a never been opened, never been worn Yoda hat that was on eBay. I had a notification sent to me via email. I had the initial bid. I was nervous for 2 weeks. I spent way too much because then at the last minute, it was like a bunch of last minute bids from a bunch of people. And I won. I won it.
Oh,
you can see it. You can see how much I bid if you go onto eBay, and it's a lot. But it's here. I gotta stand for it, and that's all that matters. So
perfect.
But if I give me a second, I'll take off my headphones and I will get my latest acquisition. If everyone would like that, I could do that
for
us.
Yes. We love show and tell. We love show and tell. Look at he's scooting back and
just
everything.
rolling on back.
Like
a pro.
chair and everything.
Yeah. right. He's like, what are you saying? All good things. We were saying all good things.
Yeah, I'm sure it was good.
Yeah.
Do y'all know who this is?
No.
This is the. Do you have a guess, Carla?
It looks very familiar, but my brain can't place it right now.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll give you a hint because you've seen the man who designed this hundreds of times, thousands of times. This was the last design that Ralph McQuarrie and George Lucas did together in the late 80s for a Japanese Panasonic commercial series featuring George Lucas. And this is
the same one that he morphs into a camera?
Same exact series.
Yeah.
And this is Sparky, the Panasonic robot. And this was a toy they made in Japan. And I've wanted one for years, obviously. And it used to be a clock. It doesn't work anymore, but it's in great condition. You can see the box. It came with the box and all the instructions. And so I'm very happy to have Sparky in my home. And I'm very proud of him. So
I am so confused and dazzled.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
After this show, you should look up the Japanese George Lucas starring Panasonic commercials, because after the Return of the Jedi came out, he wasn't doing anything. And in the late 80s, probably like 88, 89, he starred in 20 Panasonic TV commercials and incredible like paid ads and print publications. And then it was C-3PO, R2-D2, and this new character, Sparky the Panasonic droid.
Wow.
Designed by Ralph McQuarrie. And so, what a dream.
See, I was aware of the Japanese commercials with Tommy Lee Jones and with Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I've never heard about this. This is awesome.
There's that one. He's like holding a camera and he morphs into the camera.
Right.
It's like one of the coolest things.
And he says digital magic, and then I made a shirt of that. So
does he grow like robot wings and then like fly off too?
No, but it's
form into a giant robot camera.
Now you're just talking ridiculous, Aaron. This is like
but that's anime.
Yeah, right.
True.
Wow, that's a pretty cool kind of.
I have to go see this now.
Yeah.
Everyone, we will stop the recording.
Just stop.
We'll watch it. Yeah, we can change the subject. I know all about this. So all good.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
awesome.
That's all I have. I think I'm looking.
Yeah.
I'm making sure anything that's public. Yeah, no, that's it. That's it for now.
Right.
That's good enough. I think
that's good enough.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
The Yoda hat alone is good enough, but you up the game with this. Yeah. You always got to do it. Okay, so something really cool happened. I'm a nerd and have my Star Wars Insider, and I'm looking, and all of a sudden I see Brandon's name in Star Wars Insider. Let's talk about this, and not only in Star Wars Insider, but you're talking about one of the greatest books of all time, Heir to the Empire, with the man himself, Timothy Zahn. Walk me through how this all happened.
So this was probably a year in the making.
Okay.
Since it was last July, I want to say, so a full, year and a half at this point. And I just kind of reached out, and I reached out to Star Wars Insider, and I reached out to the editor, and I was like, hey, I'm Brandon. I've done this. Like, here are all the interviews I've done. Here's what I can do. And I transcribed a few of the Talking Bay interviews. And I was like, I would love, obviously, I grew up reading the Insider. I still have one of these boxes is just Insiders. I feel like maybe 2 of them. And so I was like, anything I can do, I'd love to do. And so I pitched a few ideas. It took a long time. And then the first assignment that I got was to interview Timothy Zahn about the 30th anniversary of Heir to the Empire, my favorite book growing up. Right. And so I was like, yeah, sure. That sounds fine. And luckily,
I don't like that subject. Give me a new one.
Give me a new one. No.
Next.
So that one specifically was so great because it was, we got to interview him the morning after the Mandalorian episode with Ahsoka, where she says Grand Admiral Thrawn, right?
Oh,
and so I'm on the call with Timothy Zahn and asking him all my questions. And then we're just like talking about the episode the night before. And I was like, what is going on? What is happening? And then, you fast forward I think it took another 4 or 5 months for it to finally be in print. Yeah. But it's a beautiful spread. And it was like such like a weird full circle thing for me to kind of have that all in print and there. And then I've been able to have a few more interviews since. Robert Watts was, I think, the next interview, which was very cool to see that in print, the producer of Empire and Jedi. And then in like a week, my next one with Gavin Bouquet, who is the production designer on the prequels, will be in there. And then they just announced, I can finally like talk about it because it's funny. I work on these like 6 months in advance and then never like think about them or hear about them. And I see them on like a website or I see them on Wikipedia. Like today it was on Wikipedia and I was like, I guess I can talk about this, which is the episode coming out in December. I have 2 pieces. Whoa. One is there's a variant cover that will go to comic book shops and it's of the Old Republic, the video game. Yeah. And of Darth Malgus. And I did a 10th anniversary retrospective of the game with like the lead developers, which was very cool oral history that I put together. And then my interview with Drew Struzan will be in the next issue as well, the poster artist. And so very cool, very, casual, cool things that have been happening. So I've been very honored and it's been very, very cool.
Cool, man.
Wow. Yeah. And then a lot more coming down the pipeline, a lot more. I actually, tonight being on this show, I am procrastinating finishing my most recent interview.
Nice.
So it'll be all good. So
we're glad to be an obstacle to greatness for you.
Yeah, I will. I mean, in the email I send to the editor tomorrow, I'll be like, FYI, I was on this like podcast. You can watch it here, but it did kind of like the word counts a little bit less because of that. So
right. Exactly. Well, that's so cool. What a cool way to, you're already in your passion zone as far as interviewing behind the scene people, and then now it's like in print, and it's in Star Wars Insider of all things, which is so cool, man. So that's congrats. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
No, I freaked out when I saw that. I was like, oh my gosh, I know him. All right. So let's talk about somebody that we don't know and we need to know. And that is Roger Christian. Okay. So, and everyone really says, who's that? So why don't you kind of give us, first of all, what he did in Star Wars? Why don't we just start there? Like what is Roger Christian's role in Star Wars?
Yeah. So his official title for the original Star Wars movie is set decorator for the 1977 original Star Wars movie. Yeah. He then wins an Academy Award for Star Wars. And I think the award at that time was called production design. I think it is now called set decoration. Okay. And so he won that with, again, I'm off the top of my dome right now, with John Molo, with John Dilley, and with John Barry. That seems wrong, but there's 3 Johns. But he won the award with all of them, and together the 4 of them really kind of defined this used universe look that we associate with Star Wars, right? Everything's a little bit dirty, everything's a little bit used. and Roger Christian specifically, and we'll dive into it more, is really responsible for taking weapons that already existed in our world, whether they were World War II rifles or camera flashes, and created things like Han's blaster or the lightsaber or R2D2 or the Millennium Falcon cockpit or the dice that hangs from, so all these incredible things that we take for granted now, was kind of just because he was on the same wavelength as George and would show him things and be like, oh, what about this? What about this? And so blue milk was fine, like all these crazy things that we were just like, yeah, of course, we'll go to Disney World and we'll buy the blue milk, is all because of Roger Christian. And so that's where the majority of the brunt of his like influence is really seen. But then it's very interesting to chart his career from Star Wars. He goes then immediately almost to Alien and helps do the same exact thing for Alien, which is obviously a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Comes back and works second unit director for Return of the Jedi, and then comes back and does second unit direction for Phantom Menace as well. So he has like this really interesting arc within the Star Wars universe that I will love to dive in over the next until people get bored tonight. So that's Roger Christian in a nutshell.
Wow. It's just funny because he won Academy Award and you would think like we would know more about that, but I don't know. It just, I was like, I don't know who this guy is. But I mean, just the fact that the weapon piece alone is huge. It's just huge,
Yeah. It is. It's kind of his title, right? If you ever met him and he was at a convention or something, his title is technically Father of the Lightsaber, which is a pretty cool thing to be the father of, right? Like that's and the story there, and we can go into individual props if we think that's a good way to structure this. The story there is he just kind of walked into a camera shop and saw this shelf of Graflex. It's called Graflex camera equipment. Of all varying sorts, and he just took a piece off of a camera that was just holding up the flash unit, and was like, I could do something with this. And he, taped a bunch of stuff to it, and it was like, here is the lightsaber. And he showed it to George, and he was like, this is your Excalibur, and then that's the lightsaber. And so that very casual, very cool, and kind of transformed it from there. And so that's why one of my eBay searches and a lot of people's eBay searches, and it's something that everyone here listening should be putting into their Craigslist every weekend, is Graflex, is camera equipment, is figuring that out, because those are now very expensive, right? If you want like an actual prop replica, that is your thing. So actually my grandfather has one. And passed away a couple years ago. And so I don't have it yet, but it's like, okay, I was like, listen, I don't want anything. I just want this old camera that he has. Like, I just need this so I can take it apart and here it is. Right.
So absolute vulture.
This is the only thing I need. So anyway, the Graflex is part of Roger Christian's enormous legacy for sure.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I mean, you might as well put that on the business card. Father lightsaber.
Father lightsaber.
Yeah.
And then if that didn't work out, you could have said Father R2D2, right? He was the one that kind of figured out how to, because like they designed R2D2, Ralph McQuarrie drew it. And he's like, here it is, right? And he was like, here's the painting. Yeah. Then you have to figure out how you're going to put like a man inside of that, right? That's a tough, you can't, it takes a few steps. And he was one of the main people on the team that figured that out, and then especially figured out the radio control aspects of the astromech units. And so especially like R5D4, he had to build completely on his own. So that's like another big part of his legacy, is like the initial like robotics and fabrication of the R2 units. So
it's amazing, especially when you're looking at Star Wars, and even though it's low budget, high tech type things, it's just those simple things. Like if that went terribly wrong, it'd be a terrible movie.
Right.
But everything went terribly right, and R2 and all our astromech droids are amazing.
He did it.
He did it.
Brandon, and Kenny Baker, but both of them.
So Brandon, to back up a little bit, he was production designer on this movie. What does a production designer do for any movie?
Yeah. Typically, it really involves like set decoration, right? And you think about the sets that are involved with Star Wars. You think about the Lars homestead. You think about the cockpit. You think about the Death Star. You think about all these things that there's the set, and the set is built, but then it has to be populated with things, right, for it to feel lived and to feel real. And for some things, it's very easy, right? If you're in a movie about my life, you would just populate it with this crap behind me, right? But then if you were making a movie about Star Wars, about a world that no one's ever seen before, you'd have to create a bunch of different elements that felt real, right? Like, for instance, Brew's kitchen is so interesting to me because it is, you take it full, what's the word? Like wholeheartedly. You don't even think about it.
Well,
right?
you take it for granted. You take,
yeah,
you
you're
take
like,
it for
oh yeah,
granted.
of course she's like washing some weird greens, right, and putting them in Tupperwares, right? You're like, yeah, that seems like a Star Wars thing. At the time, the greens are actually, I don't know if you ever had them. I don't know what the official term is. If you go to a restaurant and you order Japanese broccoli, that's what it is.
Okay.
But that's what it was, because it seemed alien at the time and no one had really eaten it before. And they're like, okay, yes, Brewer could be washing these. But that's kind of what he was responsible for, was the population of all of it in every background and every image. And then also a lot of the hero props. So it was kind of a dual thing of that team again that won the Academy Award. We're kind of doing a bunch of different things, whether it was costumes or whether it was props specifically, whether it was background, and just kind of figuring out what that world looked like.
Gotcha.
Well, you got to think too. One of the things is like, especially with props, it's like, I'll pick on Carla's other favorite franchise, Lord of the Rings. Like, they made all that stuff. They made the armor, the weapons, they made all that. They fabricated all those things.
Weta.
Yeah. They made all of that. And so, because they got a little money. George is he's scrapping for cash. He had to go, to the bank, got to get some loans here from Fox Studios, all that kind of stuff. And so you can't just make 100 blasters, And the fact that Roger kind of is like, hey, we're in England. There's got to be some war surplus stuff. Let's just grab what we can and greebly up. I mean, that wasn't a phrase back then, but put some, kit bash and stuff a little bit and make it a little sci-fi. And it, it's fascinating. It's so fascinating to see like some of these real world weapons and their blasters or whatever, so.
Wasn't the vibro axe that Leia has on the barge, like a piece of that was like an old hair dryer or something like that?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I've never heard
like
that.
one piece of it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It is kind of like a tradition in Star Wars. My favorite is Qui-Gon's comlink.
Oh yeah.
The ship razor.
Is the razor, which is very good, obviously. But it's just like, it's kind of finding these materials and being like, oh yes, like this will become,
Well, you got like in the cantina, right? You got the it's like the Rolls-Royce engine thing that's technically IG-88's head, but it's also in the bar first. And so that's like another Star Wars thing. It's like, it's like not only are they using it for one prop, but then they flip it and do it for a whole character. You're like, oh, okay, yeah. So they even kind of kit bash within themselves, which is kind of cool.
Didn't they also use like Rolls-Royce engine parts for the alien suit, or the xenomorph suit in Alien?
I believe you're right. And you know who also did the aliens? Yeah, it all is connected, right? It's all working out, right? It's all happening. So, but yeah. So it is, again, we all take that for granted, but it also is kind of this part of the Star Wars lore. Like you said, Greeblies, right? The kit bashing, all these things that like, we're like, yes, that's what we love. That's what we know as Star Wars fans. Kind of had to start somewhere. And it started with this initial team that Roger Christian was a part of. So
how did he actually get started with George? Do you know? Like, because you have this weirdo first time or second time film director wanting to film his weird sci-fi movie in Tunisia and England, and how do you get attached to a project like that?
Yeah, it was actually Gary Kurtz that I believe found him because he was working within the British studio system and was doing a lot of Hammer films and a lot of like, if you look at his IMDb, it's very interesting of what he was working on, because he was, relatively young and kind of just up and coming. But it was Gary Kurtz that initially kind of reached out. I believe reached out a couple times to say like, hey, like, let's really work together and let's find a time to work. And Star Wars ended up being that time. So it was first through that, and then he was kind of just thrown into the gauntlet and went from there.
Nice. So the Phantom Menace part. So he comes back.
Yeah.
So now he's second level or second unit director.
Yeah.
So that is like the pickup shots, or what is what's this? Yeah.
So second unit director, and he did it for Return of the Jedi as well, is what the director really relies on for all the things that we take for granted. Like if you're watching a movie and you notice a second direction shot, like that they didn't do their job correctly, if that makes sense, right? Like it's the things that are like, oh, there's something in someone's hand, or there's no actors on set, it's just robots, or it's just background shots, or it's just whatever, right? It's these like small little pieces that are needed for a movie, but like George Lucas or Steven Spielberg like don't need to spend their time setting up that shot and doing it. And so you need someone that it can be very professional and very organized, and being able to kind of make sure you get exactly what they need, you fit within the director's vision, right? So it doesn't seem obvious what shots are not George Lucas's, for instance. And you're able to kind of just go through the paces. And so there's a lot of shots that you wouldn't think are Roger Christian shots, especially in like, let's say Phantom Menace. But it was mostly because of, by then with blue screen, you're able to insert that into the shots a lot quicker.
Right.
And so it's interesting to kind of look, whether it's Jedi Council scenes or Darth Maul or whatever it is, it's a little bit more seamless, especially as production continued and George was realizing he was missing some things. So that's what he was mainly used for. It is interesting. I'd love to take a step back. There's a movie. So in between, he didn't work on any of the other, he didn't work on Empire, let's say.
Right.
Because he was working on Alien. And then before that, he was also at the same time working on Monty Python's Life of Brian, which is great. But he was helping do all that. And then also at the same time did this short film called Black Angel. That was kind of a mystery movie for a very long time for Star Wars fans, because it was, again, a 1980 British short film, and it was shown before Empire Strikes Back across Britain. So if you went and saw Empire Strikes Back in 1980, you first saw this 20-minute short film called Black Angel. It was all kind of about the hero's journey. It was a little Arthurian. And it was done through like tax dollars. It was like part of like a stipend from the government or something like that. But it was Roger Christian's first directorial debut. And so he put it together. And then George really did trust him and really did respect him. And it was like, I want to put this on the beginning of Empire. And then it was there and people remembered it. Obviously, if you saw Empire and you saw that before. And for years, it was lost. It was lost forever. And then I remember, I think I was in college and they were like, we found Black Angel, which is crazy. It was like, 2010, 2011 or whatever it was.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And they found Black Angel. And so it's really incredible to watch that and see Roger Christian's like first directorial debut, because then we can talk about the movies he's made afterwards and what he's doing now. But it is very cool that not only did George Lucas kind of connect with that, but also was like connected with it enough to be like, no, we're going to put this in front of my
that's
movie.
a big deal.
So
that's a big deal.
It is kind of a very cool thing. And I think I just recently talked to him again, and he is working on a feature film adaptation of that short, which is interesting. So I'm very curious to see how that progresses. And I really hope that kind of grows. So we'll see.
Yeah, cool. Well, you kind of segued into my next question. So you had, because I know one of the things that you wanted to do was interview like all the Oscar winners for that worked on Star Wars.
Yeah.
So you were able to interview Roger.
I was able to interview Roger. He was actually, I believe, the first Oscar winner I ever interviewed for Talking Bay. It was very early on back in the day. I was very new, green, inexperienced. Who knew what I was doing? Who knows what I said? But he was very kind and very nice. We kind of went through what we've been talking about, which is kind of I went through just every one of his props. I was like, let's talk about Han's dice. Let's talk about the blasters. Let's talk about everything.
Right.
And so he was very kind. And then I have recently talked to him, and I will not say for what or for when, but I will eventually.
Right.
But anyway, so yeah, but he has finished or is working on. He's been working on this since the last time I talked to him in 2018. He's been working on this documentary that he has based off of his book, and I left off his book, but it's called Galaxy Built on Hope. And he's been working on this documentary for a long time, has some incredible people in the documentary. And it's kind of everything we've been talking about, especially like the British side of the production of Star Wars, which is kind of
unique, right?
It's very unique, and it's a little undertold, right? Because we're very familiar with the California crew and ILM starting, and we're not as familiar with the British side of things, especially because George and them kind of rankled a little bit. And so I'm very interested to see what this documentary does, because it is based on his biography called Cinema Alchemist, that came out a few years ago. I really recommend it to everyone listening or watching. And it was written by J.W. Rinsler, edited by J.W. Rinsler.
Oh, it was.
Yeah. And it's very cool because it's like, you have the beginning about his biography and how he started. And you have a whole chunk about Star Wars, and you have a whole chunk about Alien, and you have a chunk about, Black Angel, and then you have everything else he's done. And it's a very, very cool read. And I think you can get it for relatively cheap now. But Cinema Alchemist is already available, and then Galaxy Built on Hope coming very soon. I feel like a Roger Christian commercial, but
So a few years ago, we got that documentary Elstree 1976 that was purportedly about that British production of Star Wars. How do you think that would differ from this documentary that you're talking about?
I think Elstree is 70s. Yeah, no, I have not seen anything. I know nothing about it beyond a couple of people that are involved in it beyond Roger. I think Elstree 76, because I've seen that and I really like that documentary, really does focus on the actors, right, and the extras and the people that were involved with the actual filming. I think Galaxy Built on Hope is a lot more behind the scenes, the people that were kind of talking about the crew and so I think that's kind of the differentiator there for sure. And then I think it's also more about the legacy of Star Wars in general. So again, I have no idea. I'm very interested because it says it's based on the memoir Cinema Alchemist, which I really loved the book. And so I'm very curious to see what he put together, and I think it'll be very cool. So
yeah, that's awesome. Very cool. Do you think he should be more well known? We should thank him like tenfold.
Yeah,
I think it's like, it's kind of almost like, because I don't know, I see what we kind of see and take for granted in Star Wars is what happens now and more or less in modern cinema. Like when you look at somebody's place or habitat, it's like, even like I would even look at like some of the things that they did for like even for John Williams in the Rise of Skywalker kind of documentary, kind of get to see like how they integrated a lot of these different things that were part of his movies, and then even in Babu Frick's like shop too, it's like there's a lot of things that we just take for granted that really started with him,
Right. Yeah. I mean, again, I think the John Williams cameo in Rise of Skywalker was very cool and very like, wow, that's really, because he did go above and beyond for Star Wars. And I think there's like a Mount Rushmore of original Star Wars. I think it is John Williams, Ben Burtt, Ralph McQuarrie, and Marshall Lucas. I think are the top four.
Yes.
Some of those obviously can't have a cameo or be mentioned in the Star Wars movies. But even like Ben Burtt, who I feel like is Star Wars at its core, right? And is not as, he didn't have a cameo. No, he did have sorry, that's wrong. He did have a cameo in Phantom Menace. Right. Yes, you're correct.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
But he is a little like he wasn't even in episode 9. I don't think he didn't work on episode 9. And so it's kind of this thing. And so, I'm not saying Roger Christian is any lesser or greater than them, but he is part of that list. If I had to put together that list of people that also include, Dennis Muir and Phil Tippett and Lauren Peterson, and you're kind of putting together this list of the people that made Star Wars feel like Star Wars, especially initially. Joe Johnston, Nilo Rodis Jamero. He is definitely on that list. And so hopefully more people do love him and do know what he did, even if it's just like, oh, he is the father of the lightsaber. I think helps.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. You're like, okay, yeah, that's great. Wonderful. Great. You did everything, man. Like, congratulations. Good job. So
that's awesome. Yeah, it's great to, I mean, I think that's obviously where your passion is as far as like all these behind, because like without them, we don't get the product that we get. We get something that's less. And obviously, you know, your eye can tell the difference. And if the special effects, you know, like the diced effects and all the other crazy behind the stuff doesn't work, it doesn't work. And it's we wouldn't be talking about it 40 plus years later, you know. It's just that crazy time at the beginning there.
Yeah, it is my favorite. The 1975 to 1977 Star Wars time is so crazy, because now we're at a point where like Disney Star Wars is so prevalent and so like all encompassing of what we believe Star Wars is, which is fair and accurate.
Right.
But when you see The Mandalorian, like you brought up earlier, like the cantina fixtures that are the IG-88 heads, you see that in The Mandalorian, you're like, oh, we're at the cantina, right? You immediately recognize it. And it's all these like little touches that make us feel like we're in Star Wars that took a lot of different people to kind of put together, which I think is very, very cool and very, very important to kind of take a step back and recognize after all this.
Yeah, if nothing else, sci-fi up to that point was very much like a off in the future kind of thing, and very, I guess, alien, for lack of a better term. Very clean, sterile, everything's like just so and perfect and hip and new. But then you get Star Wars, and with the direction of Roger Christian, you have this kind of dingy, beat up world that's lived in and actually feels real. And I think that was key to people actually buying into Star Wars as like, this is a place that could be real. And, you know, and because of that, they're willing to suspend their disbelief and actually like be engaged and invested in this world as a world that they could actually live in, you know?
Definitely.
Preaching to the choir. Yes.
There you go.
No, it's true. I mean, I think it's like, we just, you know, all those things, they're not real. And so how to make it real, it's just, that's where I'm just fascinated, because again, like for me, you know, we talked about this in one of our episodes, Aaron, where you're like, you kind of took some of the, you know, real life guns. I'm like, the E11 blaster for me is like the perfect weapon. I love it, you know, but that's based on, you know, a British, you know, submachine gun or whatever. It's like, oh, okay, this makes sense. And, you know, put this part here, and you got your own, you know, thing. And, you know, and even, and that transcends into like Solo, where he takes apart the gun and now it's the DL-44. And that's also what they did. They, you know, they added a stock here. They took that off and put this here, and it works because it's based on a real thing, you know. And
yeah, that's episode 182 if you want to check that out. But
see, always be closing. There you go.
Yeah. To your point, Todd, when he had this revolutionary idea where if you base these kind of fantastical things on real world things that you might not recognize, but your brain does, it lends a sense of believability to it. And I think that served him well with Alien as well, where I watched that movie again and I'm like, this is 1979. This is gorgeous. This thing feels real. And I want to go in there and just live and be a space trucker. And my God, that's awesome.
Except for the dying part. The
dying alien part.
It's a bit of a drag, I will admit. But it comes with the territory.
Right. Yeah, I think that's part. I mean, again, like when you mentioned before about the sci-fi, it's like, you know, they're in a silver spacesuit and they're in the future, you know, but like we also had astronauts in Star Wars and, some rubber masks, but it was everything else around that just kind of formed that world, that ecosystem that we all love now, and obviously with like Mandalorian, it's a blend of both, and it just works, it really works, and it's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Brandon, what are you working on next for Talking Bay 94? Like, what can you give us a tease? You teased a lot of stuff already, but you got any more in the pot there?
Here's the thing: Talking Bay 94, no NDAs, right? I can talk about whatever I want with Talking Bay 94.
Hell yeah!
And Talking Bay 94, if people are listening now and like, why is Brandon on a podcast when he should be like editing or like doing other things? Because I have not since July published an episode, which is not great, but it is. We've talked about everything that I've been doing, and there's been a lot of stuff going on. And so we're in the process of editing a bunch of new episodes. I have, I think, like 6 or 7 in the pipeline. Do you want me to just say all the episodes? This will be a little bit of an exclusive, just to say the next.
Yes,
if you want to. It sounds like you want.
We have coming up. I'll say it.
Yes.
Go for it.
Yeah, just say it. Yeah.
Okay, the first one out the gate that I really wanted to get out was Meredith Salinger, who's like a very famous actress, right? And she's like married to Patton Oswalt and has been in a bunch of like incredible things, but was also the voice of Barriss Offee in the Clone Wars. And that was my excuse to like talk to her, who I really admire. So she's coming up pretty soon.
There you go.
And then
nice.
Ian White was I don't know if you guys saw Prometheus. We talked about Alien a lot, but Prometheus, he was the engineer. He was the main engineer in Prometheus.
He's big.
And then was also the Predator in the 2 most recent Predator movies, and was like I forgot what his name is, the giant in Game of Thrones that dies. What was his? Anyway, and he was like the White Walker, he was a bunch of things, but he was also, yes. But he was also Moroff in Rogue One.
Rogue One?
Yeah, he was the big white.
Yeah, he kind of looks like a Wampa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was a few other characters in Force Awakens and in Solo. He was also Chewie's stunt double. So I talked to him, and obviously that would be fantastic to talk to him.
Yes.
What else? Scott Squires I talked to, who did all there was Dennis Muren, John Knoll, and Scott Squires were the 3 different units of computer graphics in Phantom Menace.
Yes.
And so I talked to Scott Squires, who, is a
obviously
deal. Yeah. So he's great.
Awesome.
And then William Dietz, who wrote, I don't know if you guys remember playing all the Kyle Katarn games. I think we're leading into something, but the Kyle Katarn games, he wrote the books for those, the big, nice graphic novel books.
Yes.
He wrote all those, hasn't a Star Wars interview in like a decade, and he was really great. So those are all coming pretty soon. All of those were very cool. And then
that's awesome.
If you're at a Barnes and Noble or a comic book store and pick up a Star Wars Insider, hopefully a new interview will be in there from me. So all very cool things. All very
coming to a bookstore near you.
Right.
Yeah. That's super exciting, man. Yeah, those books from Dietz were awesome.
Yeah.
Just another like deep cut when you don't. These kids, they just don't know the dark times, man.
These dang kids. These dang
kids. These dang kids. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It was just like very similar. They were built very much like the West End game books, where it was kind of role playing and a lot of pictures, but a lot of cool stuff with just different content. If you like the game and want to see the first person that stole the Death Star plans and want to learn a little bit more about that, you talk, read those kind of books. So that was fun. Cool. Well, thanks for like the exclusive, like,
yeah, sorry, man. I talked a lot. So,
no, that's awesome.
No, that's great. That's great.
Good.
Awesome. Very cool. It's cool. Can you stick around?
Oh, what else am I doing, man? I'm here.
Awesome.
You just want your paycheck.
Right.
Yeah. You have my Venmo,
he's
right?
still waiting.
Yeah.
He's still waiting for the commemorative plates,
Yeah,
the WSTR
I did move. I moved and I thought maybe it got lost in the move. Maybe you think of my new address. But now it's because 3 times was plates. Is 4th time the jacket we were talking about? Like, what's
right.
Oh, the varsity jacket.
Yeah, like totally have. Yeah, so
Todd will
work on
talk
that,
about
guys,
that.
for the 5th time for a year from now. Otherwise,
Right,
I'm not
yeah.
coming back on. I would never do that. I would never say yes again. So
Where's my jacket? It's like, where's my $2? It's like, where's
Yeah.
my jacket? I am not coming back.
where's
in the
my
show without the
plate?
jacket.
Where's my commemorative plate?
Awesome. Well, hey, we're here to pay some bills so we can get that plate to Brandon. So if you want to check out a cool service by Amazon, it's Audible, audible.com/WSTR media. You can get a free 30-day trial. They have all kinds of books, lots of books, different kinds of books. You can listen to the newest book that I am listening to, Ronin, and it's fantastic. So go check that out at audibletrial.com/WSTR. There's another way you can support the us is patreon.com/WSTR media. You can be like our current Patreons, Jerry Myers, Scare Scuttlebutt, Elena Strikes, Nicholas Schaefer, and Rural Farm Boy. If you want to support the show in a different way, you can do that there at patreon.com/WSTR media. All right, there you go. All the bills paid. Now it's time to take out that trash.
All right, friends. Twitter trash compactor time. So last week we did a little imperial inspection on Revan. We got JD on the show who gave us all the knowledge.
He mind
Revan.
dumped. He mind dumped all the knowledge.
So we asked, what Star Wars expanded universe / Legends characters would you like to be flushed out more in canon? And as always, comments are welcome. So let's see what people had to say. Our 4 choices were Mara Jade, Kyle Katarn, Revan, and Natasi Dalla. We got 2 write-ins.
Yeah.
First comes from Paul Sutherland, who says, Kyle Katarn, ! No explanation. Just Kyle Katarn.
He had
and
the
then-
exclamation point. That's all you need. That's
Right?
all you need.
Yeah. And then we have P. Fannensteel.
Fannenstiel?
I believe. Yeah. Thank you, Aaron.
That's what I'm here for.
My choice too, despite not being a fan of Dalla as a GA chief of state.
Georgia?
Galactic
Grand
Alliance
Admiral?
Grand Admiral Chief of State, or Galactic Alliance Chief of State, I think.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Galactic
Yeah.
Federation, I think he meant probably.
Okay.
But what do I know?
Yeah. Yep. Those are unless he was replying to.
He was replying
Kyle-
to Paul.
Galactic
Okay,
Alliance, you
okay.
can say he's
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
Galactic
there
Alliance.
you go. There you go. So yeah, and then it looks like Mara Jade is the popular vote.
Who would have thought?
Everybody wants to
Yeah.
see more Mara. Then we've got Revan, Kyle Katarn, and Natasi Dalla got no love.
Shame.
Yeah.
I think she's an awesome character.
I think she's
Yeah.
great. I saw 0% on this poll, and I said, Admiral Dalla. Did I used to have a crush on her when I was 15? Maybe. Was it based on one book cover? Maybe.
Yes,
But,
maybe. Yes.
I was always more of a
Yes.
brunette guy than a redhead guy, and it was Admiral Dalla. So what do I know?
You should have thrown that vote in then, Brandon.
I should have,
Yeah.
right? I should.
Yeah. You could have kept the
I could have been the
support alive.
2% or whatever on Admiral
Right.
Dalla.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, she's a strong female character that is owning the empire, man. She's she's awesome. I mean, Mara Jade is obviously a pretty heavy favorite, but the way we are going there, she would have to be kind of somebody different at this point. So
Yeah, I do think that we will see her in the next 3 years in some sense. I really think so.
you really?
Like,
You're throwing it out there.
I really, because here's the thing. Let me show you another dumb thing I bought, which was I went to Galaxy's Edge. I mean, we talked about Thrawn. This is my little sassy Thrawn I bought from Galaxy's Edge.
Oh my God.
Work it.
I love it.
Because you can pose him as serious, right? You can be like, okay, he's serious Grand Admiral Thrawn, right? But I'm like, no, he's gonna be a little sassy boy. Like, he's gonna be very excited to be here.
I love it.
I do think how they're setting all this up, especially in the Bad Batch. I think they're getting to redo Thrawn trilogy, and so I think we'll see Mara Jade or an Emperor's Hand in some sense in the next few years. But
because but the name's escaping me, but the cloning facility that we see at the end is is referenced in the Zahn trilogy. You know,
Luke.
I love Luke. I love Luke.
W Luke is the best, man.
Can you imagine if they did that? It'd be so cool. And people would be so mad and I'd be so pumped. I'd be like, this is the best.
Oh my God. People
ever done.
would be like, yeah.
No, I'm all in.
Give me Luke. Yeah.
Well, I think with Revan, with this remake of KOTOR coming out, definitely going to see more of him for sure.
There's so many rich characters in the EU. I mean, I have no problem with them trying to bring those in. I mean, they're already established and you work it in. I mean, you just have to be careful. We talk about this all the time about the plot spackle. You don't need to do it too much, or try to fix things that just make them their own and let them kind of fill in those gaps. So.
Yeah.
I have
RJ,
a write-in.
You heard it. Oh, you do?
I do.
Okay.
Do tell.
Go ahead.
Rumors are swirling around The Acolyte, which I think is filming early next year. And there are rumors that it's going to tie in with kind of the end of the High Republic era and into kind of Phantom Menace territory. And the scuttlebutt is that this is going to be about Darth Plagueis and Darth Sidious and kind of their relationship and how that started. So I'm super interested in that, especially because we just got a leak of the Secrets of the Sith book, if I recall correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows Darth Plagueis for the first time in canon memory. And he's just like a hood and like a couple of red eyes, like an off-world Jawa or something. It would be interesting to see how they flesh him out, if at all. I think that would be very interesting. As much as I like Revan and want him on screen, that's my secret vote is for Darth Plagueis in The Acolyte or wherever he shows up.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll keep him as a mune. Or are they going to change the species?
Yeah, or they make him just like a person. Yeah, that's kind of because I love that cover of the Lucina book, right?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yes. Yeah.
But we'll see.
Or what was his master? Darth Tenebris?
That sounds right. I'm not gonna.
Right? Yes, he's the Bith. The
Bith.
Oh,
the
Bith.
Bith.
Right.
Bith Sith.
You gotta be careful there. The Bith Sith.
Bith Sith.
Son of a Bith Sith.
Son of a Bith Sith. Yeah. That would be. Could you imagine like the Acolyte just being its own thing, and then right at the end they kind of throw in that Plagueis bit, and you're just like mind melting. I think that'd be cool. It's cool. I mean, High Republic. I mean, this is something that they kind of did with Shadows of the Empire, which basically they made everything, video game, soundtrack, books, but they just didn't do the movie. And so now they're doing the flippy flop, and they're doing all this books and building books and comics and building this universe up. And then they're going to have this show, which obviously will then push people back to that medium. But if you're just kind of like, I'm just Disney Plus or bust, it does kind of tantalize that casual fan to, if they showed Darth Plagueis, that would be huge.
Yeah.
All right, is that all the trash there?
That is all the garbage that I have.
Okay.
But now I have news.
Ooh. News of the week.
Y'all. All right. So first line of business comes from latimes.com. And Disney movie executive Alan Horn is going to retire in December. So if you don't know who that is, he oversaw a very long period of time, with Disney and the box office success, such as Marvel films, Pixar, and then later on with the Star Wars sequel trilogy. And he seems like kind of a humble guy. He's referred to himself as just a janitor with a reel of keys. But he's got quite a resume. But I guess after so long, he's ready to turn in those keys. But he's 78, so it's about that time, he said.
About that time.
About that time. But I think he was in this role for 5 decades, if I'm reading that correctly.
Wow, that's crazy.
So that's a long death a long time. But that's pretty much it. And then the transfer of power will go to Alan Bergman, who took over the studio's sole chairman last year. So they were both like co-chairman together, May of 2019. And I guess that was part of the transition for him to say, hey, I'm done. Here you go.
It's a classic Jedi Master to Padawan relationship. Yes.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. But he's ready to go. So,
well, I mean, again, he influenced a lot of movies and being in that spot. So
yeah. So that's all I got about Alan Horn.
Okay.
Little quick tidbit there. Second one comes from Polygon.com. And this says Star Wars effects legend Phil Tippett explains his 30-year nightmare project, Mad God. Do you guys know who Phil Tippett is?
Heard of him.
Vaguely.
Do we know who Phil Tippett is?
Come on, Brandon. Lay the knowledge.
Well, we're quoting Polygon, and I'm sure their article was great and their interview was great. But if you go to Fangoria.com, there was an interview with Phil Tippett about Mad God written by Brandon Wainerdi. Whoa.
Oh my God.
Whoa.
Let's flip it. Let's go.
There you go.
When the shadow of
Polygon, I'm
greatness
just kidding.
here.
No, we'll just read Polygons. Phil Tippett is great. Phil Tippett, I've interviewed for Talking Bay, and Fangoria asked me to interview him for them, which was great. But I want to talk about his movie Mad God, which is crazy. Like it is a crazy movie.
Why did it take him 30 years? What's going on here?
He's a busy man.
He's busy. He's busy. It also is bonkers. Like it is a bonkers movie that's all stop motion. So let's back up. Let's back up for a moment about
Set the scene.
I think I said the word Phil Tippett earlier.
Yes,
so I'm very proud of myself. Yeah, that's good. Good job, Brandon. Phil Tippett, also Academy Award winner multiple times.
Yes.
And Star Wars fans would know him for effects like the Tauntaun, the AT-AT, the AT-SG, and it was what was called Go Motion, which was a slightly different effect than stop motion. And he started his own.
You're such a nerd. You are such.
I'm such a darn nerd. I'm the worst. I'm bad people. But he started his own studio, Tippett Studio, and he did RoboCop. He did Starship Troopers. He did a bunch of stuff, and so he got very busy. And during that time, he was working on this project he called Mad God, and it was just him being as like crazy as he could be. All of the things internalized, he was kind of putting on the screen. It became way too kind of big for him, and it's taken him 30 years. No, the past 5 or 6 years, he did some Kickstarters or Indiegogos, wherever it was, and has been raising money to complete his vision of this like grotesque, gory, like nightmare world that's all stop motion. And it is very cool. And there's some live action elements, but it's now an hour and a half long. It's premiering at film festivals. He premiered here in Austin a couple weeks ago, and I got to see it finally on a big screen.
Oh, you got to see it?
Oh, it is bonkers. It is so cool. Do not eat any food during it. Do not, do anything that would require you throwing up. But it is so cool, and it is so cool.
Look at
seeing
Carla's
him.
face. She's like, "Wait, what?"
Well,
She has
like,
this look of horror on her face. Meanwhile, I'm
'Cause I'm-
grinning ear to ear.
well, I'm looking at some of the pictures that they have like pasted into the article, and like, yeah, some of these things look a little.
So is it kind of
Disturbing,
like
but,
like Tim Burton like on crack or something?
Well,
Or what?
I wouldn't even say Tim Burton, because I don't know. I've seen a lot of Tim Burton movies. Tim Burton has never made me throw up, right? Tim Burton's never made me want to like gag a little bit. There's some gross stuff in here, and it's so cool because you're like, this is gross stuff that someone had to like animate by hand. You know, like someone had to like really put the 5 days into this 6-second piece that made me want to hurl a little bit. So it is so, but it again, Phil Tippett, it's because I've talked to him, and it's very tough for me to be able to contextualize him within Star Wars, because you take him at a grand scheme and you're like, oh, he's done so much, and he's such like a bigger talent than even beyond Star Wars.
He did the dinosaurs for Jurassic. Yeah.
He did.
Right.
So yeah,
he did Jurassic.
He did Jurassic. He did again RoboCop and Starship Troopers, and he has this kind of legacy of being a mad god, really, like of being this kind of like devil may care, especially when you compare him to Dennis Muren. You see Phil Tippett showing up at the premiere of this movie in Italy or whatever, and he's wearing a cut off short sleeve shirt and a huge beard and long hair, you know, and you're like, this guy is great. Like, this guy is so cool. Right. And he's very intimidating and very scary to talk to, but is a wonderful guy. And this movie is so great, and everyone should watch it and just prepare yourselves for something that's so unique and so different that would never be on Disney Plus or never be on anything, really. But anyway, Phil Tippett, Mad God. I'm so glad we got I didn't even realize we were going to talk about this. Yeah,
I'm curious now, because like just looking at it, and you're saying like it's this grotesque, like gory kind of film, but just looking at the way it's animated, like I'm trying to envision it, you know, especially as like a stop motion. Because like for me, like stop motion, instantly I think of, you know, Nightmare Before Christmas, Coraline, like stuff like that. Which where Tim Burton stuff can be not like disturbing, but like maybe for like younger kids it might be a little scary, you know. But like like this one creature thing, like its eyes are like bulging, and you could tell like they took a human mouth with the teeth and just like flipped it upside down, which makes anything look horrifying. So it's just like, oh, like what is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't Phil, didn't you interview him at Celebration, right?
No, that was Lauren. Lauren, nice
that was
guy.
okay.
Lauren Peterson, very cool, very chill, very jovial, and Phil also very jovial. But him, so it's very funny because Lauren, Phil Tippett, and Dennis Muren are kind of like the trifecta for me.
Okay. Because I knew you interviewed a special effects guy at,
and so I've interviewed all. I mean, so now at this point, I've interviewed all of them, and so like Dennis and Lauren, I'm on first name basis, obviously, are very, very jovial and kind of like spokespeople for their craft at this point.
Yes.
And Phil's like, I don't care, like whatever, man. And it's so like it's almost like a breath of fresh air. And so the Fangoria article, I can show it till after this.
Yeah.
I had 12 minutes with him. I had 12 minutes.
Dang.
And I just like, I talked to him before and I knew what he was doing. I knew it was happening. And I just was like, boom, boom, let's just like go, let's go. And it was great. I made him laugh one time, which was really cool. But it was very intimidating because like I don't get intimidated by a lot of people. He was very intimidating because I'm so like in awe of him, of how like how himself he is. And I think that more than anything, and Mad God specifically, is such like a great example of like just being true to yourself, and him trying to break free of being like the Star Wars guy or the Jurassic Park guy, just being the Phil Tippett, I think is so cool and so important. Especially, I mean, like he's an older guy, and him being like, no, this is who I am. Like, take it or leave it. And so Mad God, I highly recommend. I think you can probably at this point watch it. There are some online film festivals happening at this point. You could probably spend $10 and watch the movie and have a great night to yourself if you really wanted to. Drink some whiskey, have some fun. Anyway, highly recommend. Anyway, really great time. Really
Mad
great
Dog.
Time. Mad God. Here we go.
Mad God.
All right. Well, thanks, Brandon.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks for helping out with that.
I just saw Phil Tippett. I'm like, and I saw those pictures. I'm like, this is a great article for Brandon. Little did I know you already wrote an article.
I already did it. I'm already ahead of you.
Serendipity.
Right. Yes.
Yes. All right. And moving on to our last order of business here. Dexero.com says Epic Games reportedly hires Star Wars producer for a Fortnite movie. Oh boy. Oh boy. Get your flossing in and your whatever those dance moves are.
All video games movies are great, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah, so they're apparently ready to bring Fortnite to the big screen. And 3 weeks ago, it was revealed that there was that whole lawsuit between was it Apple and Epic Games?
Yeah.
With the platform, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Fortnite, they're still battling that out. It might not be on Apple services devices for another 5 years. So that's a thing. But yeah, they're looking towards Hollywood for some more momentum. And it looks like they are hiring a series of Lucasfilm executives who were involved in the Star Wars franchise. It details that Epic's intentions are to diversify, with the feature film being among loftier possibilities. I don't know if there's a name drop in here. Let's see. Lucasfilm's Jason McGatlin, an executive producer for all Star Wars films created with Disney.
There you go.
Interesting. I don't know much about Fortnite, so I don't know how this could possibly. All I know is the dances. That's it.
Look, Carla, they made an emoji movie. They can do anything.
Yeah, that's right.
True.
Right.
Ugh. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's Hollywood. You follow the dollar. Fortnite is lots of money. So you're going to try to leverage that.
Yeah.
I won't be holding my breath.
No.
Well, the sources claim the studio is considering launching an entertainment division focused on scripted video programming, and further that the aim of this division is to diversify following mobile setbacks. So,
Apple, aka Apple.
Yeah,
they got to pay their court fees.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. So that's the news. That's all I got.
And that means it's time for Cantina Chat. All right, the time of the show where we talk about everything geeky and weird going on in our lives. Carla, what have you been up to?
Oh, that's very nice of you. Ladies first. That's good.
Thanks. I got to catch
fill
up
out the
on
notes section.
I do. I go in. Well, I have a lot to catch up on because I wasn't here last week.
Go.
So, New York Comic Con, impromptu visit. Elena had a pass, so we were like, yeah, let's go. Why not? So it was fun. We got to walk the floor, got some pictures taken, and it was on a Thursday, which I had never been to New York Comic Con on a Thursday. So it was a little weird, just with the COVID stuff, and then just the crowd not being as insane as I had been used to previous years. So it was fun. It was very calm, kind of. There wasn't that feeling of I gotta get here and I gotta get there, and you're literally shoulder checking people as you're walking through the floor. You know what I mean? It's yeah. So.
But we are amongst the celebrity here. You got on the local news, girlfriend. Come on.
Oh my God.
Wow.
For 30 seconds.
No, who cares? You got on the news in a good way. It's not
Yeah, I was interviewed, was that NBC caught me. And, of course they asked me all these questions. And I was like, maybe I'll make the cut. And then the next morning, my mom she texted me with she caught the video on the news, and she's like, "You're on the news!" Like, and of course, she's like sharing all over Facebook. And then apparently, too, like the same clip from the news, they aired it on Jimmy Fallon that night.
Oh
too.
my
What?
god!
So someone was like, "Hey, Carla, you know you're on Jimmy Fallon?" I was like, "What? Like,
What?
Yeah.
We're touched by
So-
stardom, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my
Wow.
Look at
gosh.
that.
Wow.
But yeah, so that was,
Two celebrities here, Brandon and Carla. Look at this.
It's
man.
one celebrity, it's just Carla.
oh no.
Wow, great.
But yeah, it was fun. And then I thoroughly enjoyed watching Captain Kirk get launched up into space.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys watched that. That was cool.
Indeed.
Our
I
red-
did.
I got a little emotional.
Our Red 5 chat was blowing up on that, man, Carla.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sci-fi. That dude, that rocket landed by itself, bro. I don't care what you say. That's amazing.
Oh, you mean the booster?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
didn't-
like sci-fi right there.
Yeah. I was just happy that it was him because, like, Star Trek, it came, very early on with the sci-fi stuff. So if anybody's going to go up there, it should be.
I was hoping he was launching
Shatner.
some one-liners of Captain Kirk up there. Yeah,
Well, the whole trip was 10 minutes from launch and then back down to the capsule landing. I thought it was going to be like a much longer trip, but I guess with his age and stuff, they probably couldn't keep him up there.
Let's not kill Captain Kirk. I'm like,
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Whoops. Yeah,
Whoops.
no. But like his speech afterwards, like I was just like, yes, preach. Yes. Yeah. So that was cool. And then I'm catching up a lot with books. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
I finished the Into the Dark, High Republic, that
Yes.
audiobook. It was all right.
It's good. It's good. Yeah.
So I got to move on to Rising Storm is the next one.
Yeah.
And then oddly, I started the Canto Bite audiobook. I don't know why.
Is that a thing?
What?
Yeah.
that
It is, yeah.
It's like it's like 4 different authors, and they did like a collection of these stories that like connect with each other about these characters that go to Katonica and they go to the casino and stuff.
Oh, cool. So it's kind of like Tales of Mos Eisley and
yeah.
yeah. That's awesome. That's cool.
They're trying
Yeah.
everything they
Well,
can.
it's
Everything
been
they
out-
can. They
it's-
try.
It's been out for a while. I just haven't, like, I have it in my queue of stuff to listen to or read.
Yeah.
And then guys, I finally did it. I
finished
I finished reading the Silmarillion.
That's
Tonight, like literally
Congratulations.
tonight, like a half hour before I hopped on. Finished
That's
it
a huge deal.
after 2 years and 9 months of trying to get through it.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah.
I'm very.
that's- it's
Should we
tough.
just transition to a Lord of the Rings podcast now? Are we doing that? Are we gonna?
Don't
Let's
tempt
do it.
me.
No.
I'm
Don't
ready.
tempt me.
I'm ready. Let's do it. I just bought. I can show you my latest purchase, which was there's a fanzine that's been going on since like the 70s of like people that learn how to write
Elvish?
that learn how to write Elvish.
Oh,
And they published the 5 volumes, and I bought those 5 volumes. And I told my wife, I was like, I don't learn how to write Elvish. She's like, you better not. I think that's great. I just reread the Silmarillion very recently as well. What a wonderful book. What a terrible, like it's a very interesting thing to do because it is very dense and very hard to read. Like it is not. So congratulations. Like
yeah.
it is not the
It's
easiest
a
thing of all
lot.
time.
Like
Yeah.
I could maybe tell you 3 things that happened
Ah.
that I
had a
actually
great-
understand.
I'm not here to plug other people's podcasts, but I had a tough time going through it a few years ago, and I read it while I was listening to this podcast called the Prancing Pony podcast.
Okay.
And they do chapter by chapter. They go through it all, and they like tell you to take notes and to like notate everything. And it helped me so much. Like
Okay.
it is so good. So if you're trying to read it again,
I definitely am going to.
highly
yeah.
recommend
Right.
Prancing Pony podcast. I know we're talking Star Wars and we're talking about our podcast, but I
Yes,
really
yes,
highly
yes, yes.
recommend.
Hey, no,
Francis
that's good.
Tony.
Yeah.
It's Cantina Chat. Anything goes.
Yeah. Yes. Free
Anything
plug.
goes.
Free plug. And
Yeah.
Free
what
plug.
no better way to Prancy Pony? I mean, come on, that's a great place to.
I love it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that I was very happy about that. Like
That's a great accomplishment.
Congratulations. That's a big
Thanks.
Yeah.
And then embroidery's coming along. Panel 2 is almost done. And I'm getting ready for Rhode Island Comic-Con in a few weeks. So I'm excited about that.
You got to spill the beans.
Oh, I can? Spill the
Sure,
beans?
why not?
Oh,
Get
okay.
to the chat.
we got press passes for
That's right.
Yeah,
Ooh, it went through?
Yeah.
Awesome.
We only had to pay a couple Imperial officials. It was very, yeah. Got some
So-
coaxium here. Just slip right in there.
Nice.
We'll see what those perks are. I've never gotten in with a press pass, so
Right
it'll be
on.
all special walking in. Yeah.
I immediately sent Carla the gift of Wayne's World where they're holding the badges and walk right in.
That's awesome. Todd, I got one for was it Joliet Library?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, so the only benefit was like when they had the big group photo at the end, I got to like go behind the scenes and like get up on the perch and take my own photos and stuff like that.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. You were the crazy one on the viaduct taking pictures. I'm like,
Yeah.
who's that? I'm like, oh, that's my buddy. My buddy.
Yep.
Taking a bunch of pictures.
Almost fell in, but
Yeah.
we don't
It's
talk
okay.
about that.
Yeah. Right.
Awesome. Todd, what have you been up to?
Dude, Ronin, this audiobook. I'm doing the audiobook. Ooh, it's so good.
What is Ronin?
Ronin is taking one of the Star Wars Visions stories and expanding on it. So the first part, a little spoiler, the first part of the book is what you see in the Star Wars Visions.
Okay.
After that, it's all brand new stuff.
No kidding.
So if you're not familiar, it's the first one right out of the gate. And it's the one that's kind of almost kind of a black and white type kind of format.
Yeah.
And he has the duel with the Umbrella Witch there with the crazy lightsabers, and you got the cool droid with the hat on, and that kind of.
Yeah.
Dude, this book is tight. I love it. I love it so much. It's really cool because it's different and fresh, and yeah. So I am digging it. So I'm almost done with it. So I think it came out last week, and yeah. So been doing that. I kind of same thing with Carla. I love Shatner in space. I love seeing the Johnson rocket fly up and do its thing, and I just love the idea of like him, like Carla said, it's only like 10, 12 minutes. It's like, okay, what's for lunch? I just like the idea, the novelty of like just going up in space, hanging out, and then coming back and be like, okay, let's go for lunch. It's just like, we're almost in the future, I think.
Yeah.
It's like,
And
it's like
supposedly
that-
it didn't cost like you would think something like that would cost like what? Couple mil, right? Apparently
Right.
it was like only like 250,000 for that.
That's
Whole
nothing.
thing?
That's nothing.
nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I sell these
Nothing.
books behind me. I go to space.
Right.
Right.
Right. I mean, but it's getting to that point. I mean, right. I don't know, like all those commoners here, but it's just like I said,
Business.
the booster rocket coming back, landing on this exact spot. It's just like, before NASA would just dump it in the ocean, we got to find the astronauts and find the booster rocket somewhere, and this is just like, oh, here it is back. Yeah, it's just super cool. I think that's super awesome. So yeah, that's what I've been up to.
That's 41 trips to the Galactic Cruiser in Disney.
Oh.
if you do the math.
There we go. That's good.
Right. Well, still that Galactic
I
Cruiser.
still can't believe how much
that's
that
still
I can't.
yeah. That's still too much, man. Still too much.
It's the primo.
Right.
Brandon, what have you been up to?
What have I been up to? I have read Ronin. I said it on Twitter. And when I say it on Twitter, I mean it. Right?
Ooh.
Yes,
That means
you mean it.
It's fact. It is the best Star Wars book I've read in a decade, maybe. Like it is so
Yeah,
good.
I think I commented on
That
your
is high praise.
I said, yeah,
it is so good and so unique. And I've had the past like 3 weeks of work, 4 weeks of work have been a lot. And so I haven't had a lot of time to like watch things or do things in a binge situation. And so with Visions, I had to watch one a night and I would fall asleep watching the next one. And so I really was able to watch it over like 2 weeks and really enjoy each one. And Visions and Ronin combined, and also the behind the scenes featurettes that are on Disney Plus now for Visions. I was like, this is like, because I love Last Jedi, I love Force Awakens, I love Mandalorian, I love all this stuff. And I was like, this is my favorite Disney Star Wars, is this Visions release. I am just so pumped up about Visions. I think it's so great. And everything involved, both the book and the show and the behind the, everything is so great. So that's kind of my big Star Wars thing specifically.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, just super into it. I think it's
so good.
It's so cool.
Yeah,
it's so it's what, because I think George Lucas has seen nothing since he sold it. He's like, I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah. I mean, he's seen Baby Yoda. He's
been on set, but he hasn't like sat down and like watched a new Star Wars movie, right? Like, I don't think he has.
Yeah,
I think he went to the premiere of Force Awakens, like walked out. Like, he's like, I don't need to watch this. I don't need to.
This isn't my Star Wars. I'm gonna use my script.
But I think if he sat down and watched Visions, he'd be like, this is cool, guys. Like, he might not like super love everything, but he'd be like, good job for doing something different and unique. So so I am also on board with that. I did.
Do you think it's because, you know, I mean, I know my answer, but I'll ask the question. I mean, do you think it's because it's non-canonical? You know, like it's not part of, and that's what makes it wild?
So here's the thing. I think this is a whole, invite me on episode 294, whatever it is, talk about canon. I don't know.
Okay.
But I don't care about canon at all, man. I don't care at all, which is so interesting because, like, again, these boxes behind me are all canon. I've read every single canon thing ever, right? Like, since I was 4 years old, I've read every single thing I could possibly read. I don't care. I really couldn't care less. It's like, oh, this was slightly different than what the TV show said or whatever. I don't care. I think George Lucas would be able to sit down and be like, this was cool. This was intrinsically what I thought Star Wars could be. And I think that's what makes me love Star Wars. And that's why I gravitate towards behind the scenes and gravitate towards the telling of the story, because that's canonically Star Wars rather than like, oh, this is what Wikipedia says is correct. And so that's me though. So anyway, that's why I think George would like this the most. I will say, let me tell you a slightly different story, but we're talking geeky things. I will say, I went to Chicago. What was it? 4 weeks ago for a wedding. And it was a wedding of my wife's friends. And so Saturday morning I had time off. I was in downtown Chicago. Yeah. I was in the Drake Hotel. I don't know.
Nice.
Drake Hotel. Yeah. Yes. Very nice. It was very cool, very historic.
Yes.
So I looked up. I was like, where does George Lucas live? and I found it. I found where he lives. And I took, my buddy was in town as well, who his wife was doing stuff. So
it's doing stuff.
I was like, we're gonna walk around. We're gonna walk to, I won't say it on the air.
Yeah.
But I was like, we will walk here. We will stand in front of the door that is the private residence door for this building that George Lucas lives in the penthouse of. We will stand here. We will stand here for 30 minutes while we eat our Chick-fil-A. We will stand here. We will see what happens. He did not come out, but I really enjoyed myself. Yeah.
That is fantastic.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
So that's close. And I made my buddy walk to, this is not Star Wars, but it is Cantina. So then I made him walk 2 miles to a parking garage across from Millennium Park where they filmed The Dark Knight when he jumps off the balcony and lands on the car. And I was like, we're gonna go to this parking garage. And so it was great. I had a great time in Chicago.
That's awesome.
Those are the two things I did.
That's awesome.
So that's it. That's all I got for Cantina.
So
you
So
go fast.
in recap, you secretly tried to stalk George Lucas while you're in Chicago, and
It's not even secret. I think at this point people would just assume if I'm
dude,
going to Chicago.
my
that's not a
favorite. I
celebration.
mean, my favorite photo of this year will be George Lucas in front of that Van Gogh exhibit with his
Yeah.
So good.
ginormous
So good.
phone out of his pocket, and he's not wearing jeans. And he's got oh my gosh, that will.
It really messed up my day. I really had to like turn off the computer and just like go to bed. It was like at 6 o'clock. I was like, you know what? Like it's time for me to just like turn off the lights tonight.
And it's like who took the picture? Like that's what I want to know. And
Melody. Okay. One last final thing. Sorry, this episode is going on forever. And it's my fault. If you do not follow Melody Hobson on Instagram, George Lucas's wife, you should 100% follow Melody Hobson on Instagram because she'll post photos, she posts stories, she has a great time. She's very successful. She's very smart.
Yeah, she's like.
But sometimes she'll post photos of her in her house or her home desk, whatever it is.
Right.
You know, like again, like what you said, Todd. Who is taking these photos? The answer is George Lucas. The answer is George Lucas' Instagram husband. And so if you're following Melody, you're following like George Lucas Instagram. And so I highly recommend it to everybody.
He's framing it out, you know.
It's incredible, man. It's incredible. Same with Dave Filoni's wife, Anne Coveney, right? Is great on her own. She's fantastic and so interesting. But all the photos that are of her, you're like, oh, Dave Filoni took this in an apple orchard. Like it is a fascinating thing to follow. So that's all I'll say. That's I will stop talking now.
No.
That's good.
So Jason and Gabe did this on Blast Points, but that one interview she was doing a interview for like school. It was like a school. It was like a high-end school, like kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? Gosh, my brain's not working. But anyways, they interviewed her like just about her success. And then George just slides in the back.
Right.
And these kids ask these questions and he just goes off about midichlorians. And oh my gosh, it's just like pure George. And I just love him.
It's a great time.
These kids ask him like how you got into film. He's like, well, let me tell you about the midichlorians and how, oh my gosh. It's
so good. I highly recommend that too.
So good. Anyways. Aaron, let's get back to you. Let's try to get this back on track.
I'm so sorry, Aaron. Yes, I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. This is awesome. I really should never be the last person.
We have to go somewhere on a field trip, Aaron, and
I know.
Check out where George lives.
I'll tell you after we hang up. I'll tell you.
We got to stalk Georgie Porgy.
Yeah.
I should never be last because I never have good stuff to say. But this past week, I was on a episode of Syndicate with our good buddy Armand.
Nice.
This being the spookiest of months, we decided to talk about Jordan Peele as a director and his filmography. So I watched all of his movies that he wrote and directed, as well as a few Twilight Zone episodes and the original and remake of Candyman. It was like drinking from a fire hydrant, but
dang, dude.
I loved it. It was awesome. I can't believe I've been snoozing on this guy for so long, but we had a great discussion.
Did that new movie came out that
Nope.
Like it's called Karen or something? Like, did that come out yet?
I don't think so.
Okay. That might have been a COVID casualty. Yeah, like
maybe.
It's about like this African American family that moves into suburbs, and then there's a Karen, and there's this whole thing that happens, and it's I believe that's Jordan Peele. It looked fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about that.
I think that might be a COVID casualty where it got pushed or something. So yeah.
But we had a great discussion. Went on for like 3 hours.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was a marathon, but it was awesome.
Cool.
So keep an eye out for that soon. Should be within like the next week or so is when it'll drop.
Soonish. Okay.
Yeah, and then in the meantime, maybe I've talked about this before. I decided to give the show Barry another shot. I watched a few episodes and kind of dropped off and whatever, but went back to watch it. If you don't know, you should watch the YouTube live stream because Anthony Kerrigan and I share a resemblance. I've actually been mistaken for him like 6 times in public. It's very odd. But yeah, he's a co-star in this show, and I decided to watch it, and it's hilarious and awesome. There's this guy named Barry who's this he's kind of like this low rent hitman out of Cleveland. And like his life sucks. He's not making any money because his handler is basically taking advantage of him. And they decide to go out to LA to take on this job and kind of make something of themselves. And while he's there, he's like getting close to his mark there and ends up accidentally going to this like acting class. And he realizes like, oh, that's what he actually wants to do. Like, even though he's good at being a hitman, he sucks at it. Like, he hates it. But he wants to be an actor. He wants to be an actor, but he sucks at it.
That's Bill Hader, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
it is this really cool dynamic too, because like to be a good hitman, you have to be like anonymous and unknown to everybody. To be an actor, you have to like put yourself out there and hug the attention. So it's very much the clashing of two worlds. And there's this kind of contrast where he ends up working with these Chechen mobsters, and they're new to LA too, and they're trying to like, be serious criminals, but they don't really know how to do that yet. So there's a lot of there's a lot of moments that are hilarious and pathetic and embarrassing for them. And Anthony Kerrigan plays one of these mobsters. So
there you go.
Anyway, I've been watching that the past few days. Been loving it. Gonna keep watching. So
there you go.
Nice.
And then I started this new job, which has been taking up a ton of my time, but it's a lot of it's just endless meetings and hey, welcome to the team and HR paperwork and make your
hey man
benefit selections.
Big boy job.
And,
yeah. Right.
Yeah, it's a bit of a corporate gig, but it's
actually
paying me adult money, so I'll take it. But yeah, been enjoying that so far, and yeah.
Now you can bid on ridiculous stuff like Brandon on eBay to get.
Listen, I don't need any competition here, man. Like, just cool off. No, I can please bid against me so I don't spend the money. Please.
I can feed my corporate bucks to the consumerist engine.
Right.
I'll take pleasure in that. But yeah, that's all I got.
There you go.
Very
all
nice.
Right. So it's about time to wrap up this episode. Thanks again for listening to another episode of WSTR Galactic Public Access. You can find us on the socials. Heather at Hawk Awesome, Carla at Carla Marie Giac, Todd at Tizod, myself at Aaron Julian, and we're part of the Red 5 Network, a wonderful network of Star Wars podcasts. That's Red numeral 5 Network, and of course our own tag at WSTR Media. You can check us out on social media. We want to hear from you, so please comment, tweet, rate us on Apple Podcasts. If you give us a 5-star rating, we will throw some swag directly in your face, and that is not a threat. That is a promise.
No, that is a promise. Yeah, I literally sent out a bunch of swag last week. It was going hot and heavy.
Awesome. And so retweet or email us a screenshot of the rating, and we'll read it on the next episode of the podcast. You could drop us an email at mailbox@wstrmedia.com. You could leave us a voicemail at 630-557-WSTR. That's 630-557-9787. That way you can leave us a voicemail and we'll play it next week. You can catch our entire back catalog of episodes at podcast.wstrmedia.com. And we are brought to you by our merch store, store.wstrmedia.com, our Patreon, patreon.com/WSTRmedia. And thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us in the YouTube chat. We stream live Monday nights at 9 o'clock Central Standard Time. Livestream.wstrmedia.com is where to catch that. Next week, episode 243, we're coming up on Halloween, so we got to talk about Star Wars monsters. Please tune in next week for that. Brandon, where can our guests find you?
Yeah, you can find me at Talking Bay 94 everywhere, talkingbay94.com, Talking Bay on Twitter and Instagram, everywhere you want to go. And then also Actually Brandon, there's a lot of impersonators out there. So Actually Brandon on Twitter and Instagram. Yeah, it's really terrible, man. People are
what are you talking about? Why
those Brandons
trying to get me on they're trying to catch up on the clout here, but Actually Brandon.
This is how we know you're the actual celebrity, because you have fake accounts. I don't have fake accounts.
It was a joke, but back in college, back in the day, back 10 decade ago, 20, whatever it was, there was an account called Not Actually Brandon, which was run by friends of mine, which was very funny. You can go find that on Twitter if you want to see how I used to be tweeting back in the day. But so follow me everywhere. Funny. Talking Bay episodes coming soon. Star Wars Insider interviews coming soon. Yes, all very exciting stuff. But I appreciate y'all having me on for a fourth time. Holy crap! I know,
man. Fourth time.
What a blast. So I appreciate it.
Yeah. It's some kind of record.
It's some kind of record.
All right. Well, that is about all we have for our episode. So there's only one way to end it. Now this is podcasting.
Torn up inside. I do what I could and I do what I can. Still